Well, folks, it's September 3rd, and Sty's been out all afternoon just beating around. I went and checked out this new overlook I've never seen before. It was beautiful. I stopped at this little county-owned park on the lake. I hiked a couple of little trails here and there. I only filmed going into one, and it ended up being a bear bait. But I've been enjoying my afternoon. It's been great. I've been doing a lot of hiking, a lot of walking around. And on the way back, I'm on what we call Old Grade Road. And I've seen this 100 times or more, but never stopped to check it out. And I'm going to show you what this is. And I'll share it with you in this video. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool thing. This is called the Grandview Boulder. This thing's huge. This rock is huge. It's bigger than my truck. And when you look at it, it's pretty unique. Check this out. This wavy pattern all the way through it. Wavy. Very, very unusual boulder. Now this side over here is really, really cool. You can really see the waves in it. See these waves running through that rock? All over in it. Well, why is it? Why is it that way? There's a neat light-colored strip right up there on the top. Neat, 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 neat boulder. So why is it the way it is? Here we go. The Grandview Boulder. This rock's got history. The bumps, pits, and wavy lines on the surface of the Grandview Boulder are actually some of Earth's oldest fossils. I'm going to go ahead and read this board. The video won't be too terribly long. It won't take me long to read this whole board. But I want to give you the history of this rock, okay? The fossils are the remains of ancient bacteria called stromatolites or whatever. Anyhow, the very first life forms. They lived in colonies in a warm, shallow sea that once covered North America. The colonies formed mats that made energy from the sun through a process called photosynthesis. Modern plants do this too. Before the presence of these bacteria, Earth's oxygen-poor atmosphere couldn't support life. But oxygen is a byproduct of photosynthesis. I can't pronounce that word, darn can I? So, just by making a living, the stromatolites created an environment that eventually supported other life forms. They needed exposure to the sun, but they also needed protection from its strong rays. Slime was the answer. Slime both shielded them and provided a way for these one-celled organisms to move around by oozing into better position when tidal sand blocked their sunny exposure. Prospering in the brightest light, layers of stromatolites mats grew atop one another, eventually forming dome-shaped mounds. Now they're giving an example of these dome-shaped mounds. Now the way they're describing that, that's what that is. Those are all layers of them, of those ancient bacterias, layers of them. And this was one of these mounds, is what it is. Layered mounds of these colonies thrived in the warm, shallow pre-Cambrian sea. Geologic changes caused erosion, and rivers began to dump sediments into the sea, slowly burying the colonies under many layers. Over millions of years, the weight of the uppermost layers of sediment compressed the colonies into a rock called dolomite. 1900 million years ago, volcanic activity pushed up masses of rock from deep within the Earth's crust, breaking and shoving aside the dolomite formations at the surface. Over time, heat and pressure from all that volcanic activity squeezed the dolomite formations into mountains of metamorphic rock called marble. The Pinocchi Range, just to the north, is the worn-down root of some of these ancient mountains. It became geologically quiet for millions of years. Up on the Earth's surface, soil formed, temperatures were mild, and life flourished. The last ice age began about 100,000 years ago, and the climate got drastically colder. Glaciers formed when large amounts of snow piled up and compressed into ice. Glaciers were huge, often over a mile high and thousands of miles long. They moved slowly, spreading forward and outward by their own weight, gouging the land as they traveled and carried along scraped up debris. The climate finally began to warm again about 8,000 years ago. The glaciers melted and dropped their loads of dirt and boulders, creating most of the landforms with which we are now familiar. The Grandview Boulder was left here 3 miles from its source, the Bad River Dolomite Formation in the Pinocchi Range. So the glacier carried it 3 miles and dropped it here. And it says what to look for. Check out the surface of the boulder. It shows the wavy bumps that were the layers of the stromatolite mats that formed the dome-shaped mounds. Yep, and it's very, very evident. You can see the wavy formations, every single layer. Looking at this, I mean, it is absolutely awesome. It is so cool. So there you go, folks. I hate to admit it. But guess what? You're never too old to learn something. That was enjoyable. To see this on the side of the road, all the times I've driven by here, I drive by here all the time. And like I said, at least 100 times I've driven past this and never stopped to take a close look. What's with the big rock and the sign? Well, I checked it out today and I shared it with you. Little something interesting about our geological history. Isn't that awesome? That was awesome. Hey, if you're new to the channel, guys, subscribe. Ring the bell. You'll know when I'm doing videos and live streams. Give me a thumbs up, would you? I'd love it. That'd be awesome. And I love your comments. Love your comments. What do you think of the big rock, eh? Yeah, I knew none of that. Actually. I know quite a bit about how the glaciers moved boulders through the region here. And a lot of the landscape we have and how the glaciers affected the landscape. But this rock and its history, I didn't know any of that till now. So I learned it with you. So there you go, guys. Until the next time, next adventure, next hike, next chat, whatever I do, you all make sure to have a very, very nice day. Bye-bye.